So I tweeted out a question, and I don't think there is a right answer. You're just trying to guess.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if the Bills never make the Cooper trade, the Amari Cooper trade?
So if they don't make the Cooper trade,
what happens to the season? Yeah. Brandon Beane liked to point out when Cooper was in the lineup, they averaged a touchdown more, 7 points more when he's in the lineup. His value was largely... It was there. There was value. There's not production, but there was value.
Right, it was perceived value, right? That he came in and he drew attention away from others, and he gave them a real... He gave other defenses something to respect on the outside and down the field. Like, that is the idea, I think, of his value if you're not showing me numbers. And I don't know, isn't there a good amount of evidence that maybe that didn't happen?
I do think there's a lot of evidence it didn't happen. If that were true, he would have played more.
And it also would have, we've pointed out, the numbers show that the Bills did not see two high safeties almost at all last year. So that's at least the downfield element. Like, teams weren't changing what they did, respecting the Bills down the field with him there.
No, he gave them credibility, but I don't think he scared teams, really. You know, the trade happens, a couple weeks go by, and he also battles a little bit of an injury. You want to say it's because of chemistry, whatever. I'm not saying they shouldn't have made the deal. It was necessary. I think they needed to.
And what games would they have lost had they not? And there were a couple of games where he did make an impact. His first game, right? Like, he goes 4 for 66 and a touchdown against Tennessee. First play of the game in that one, like down the sideline, and nice route on the touchdown, the one where Coleman told him where to go before the snap. Remember that play?
He had a big catch in the Chiefs game.
He had a couple, two for 55.
Yeah,
including one down the sideline early that was important. I think there's an important one late that was down the field also.
Yeah.
So, right, they might not win that regular season Chief game without him, but do I even care? I mean, it was a great day. It was a great day at the stadium.
It was.
But I feel like half of Bills fans right now might believe they would have won the playoff game for some reason if they had lost the regular season game.
Yeah.
And then he was incredible against the Rams. They lost that game. So, I don't know. I don't know that a lot would have necessarily been different. I guess if I really, part of the question could be, would they have done something else instead of Cooper had they not traded for Cooper?
What else was there to do?
Right, exactly. Like, if you're not getting Devontae Adams, which that ship had already sailed.
Should they have traded for a defensive tackle that they could have rented for a couple of months?
Okay, I guess you could have done that too. I was thinking about if there was another receiver they would have pivoted to.
Yeah, I don't know.
He was the pivot.
He was.
Right? We think he was the pivot from Devontae Adams.
Which it's worth pointing out, as many times as the Bills might say I think we're pretty comfortable with what we've got right now. They were comfortable going into the season, then, a month in, decided they needed something in Cooper. There's also, of course, the point of it where when they trade for him, we think, hey, he's not that old, and he's shown to still be able to play, so yes, they can borrow him, and then if they want to extend him for a year or two, they can do that. That has not happened.
No, he's still available.
He's still a free agent, and consider that for a moment, because I was listening to Joe Marino of the Locked On Bills podcast, who we will talk to tomorrow. He kind of said he is of the belief that when Brandon Beane says, I don't think we have a hole there, that Beane might feel pretty good with his group. And I think you could get there. It is worth pointing out, he says that without Cooper. We don't. You lost Hollins and Cooper, and you brought in Palmer, and you think, we're fine. We don't have a hole. So, I don't know if that's... There's a little bit of Josh Palmer. Does he become Cooper's role or is he Mac Hollins' role? And that might be kind of hard to split exactly which one it is. But Cooper is just a free agent on the market that you traded a third-round pick for. And when you traded for him, you probably thought, if this goes well, we'll keep the relationship going. He's out on the street, and you say you don't have a hole. It's some between-the-line stuff. Remember how he was perfect because he was so quiet and accepted his role, and he rediscovered his joy of football playing here. That's something else he said. He experienced joy. All these things that went right for Cooper and the fit, not production, and the Bills are just I don't think we have a hole.
Yeah, I think it's more about wanting to maybe improve from him or do something different. It could be about money. It could be about money. I mean, Diggs found his money.
He did.
He found a team that was desperate enough to do it. And is that what is Cooper? Remember how long DeAndre Hopkins was on the market? Was that last year or the year before? He was on the market for months
until he signed with the
Titans. Yeah, right. I think I'm remembering right.
Chiefs. He signed with. Then the Chiefs traded for him. That's right.
No, so I'm thinking about the Tennessee. He was on the market for a while before he ends up landing. Is Cooper playing the?
Hopkins signed on July 24th.
Okay.
With the Titans. Sorry, that's 2 years before. Yeah, 2023.
Yes. So that's 4 months he was on the market before he signed, and he ended up getting a fine contract for a veteran receiver of his age. So this would almost be an implication, though, that the Bills would be open to bringing him back at a super cheap price, and I don't know that I agree with that. It would be more, though, if they even were. It'd be go see if you can find anything. And if Cooper's camp is thinking, Diggs just got all this money, he just got a torn ACL, and hey, if you're Cooper's camp, I know what my sales pitch would be. My sales pitch would be, last year I got traded, new offense, I got hurt. It was a up and down season. I had to play with Deshaun Watson for half a year. I know it didn't go well. The year before I had 1,200 yards. The year before, I was still a number one receiver in the NFL. So I'm not asking you to pay me like a number one receiver in the NFL. I'm asking you to pay me like a good number three receiver in the NFL.
Which is how much? $10 million?
Sure. And I think what he's probably finding is teams are too smart for that right now.
Maybe.
But can he find a dumb one? Can he find, or a desperate one? Someone that doesn't get what they want in the draft and pivots and circles back around and says, okay, we wanted to do something at receiver, so, okay, I guess Amari Cooper's sitting over there. We could take the shot, and, we'll take the risk that he's right, that it was more about the injury and getting traded and with Deshaun Watson and less about, oh, yeah, he's just totally shot.
As you lay that all out, am I going to hear Brandon Beane say that in mid-May?
If they sign him?
If they don't get what they want in the draft, they circle back to Cooper. It's the same room, except Josh Palmer's in for Mac Hollins.
100%. It's 100% the defense. It's 100%. At any team that's going to sign him, those are going to be the three excuses that get made for his season. And they're not totally unfounded. But I think that probably does play into it. That he did get hurt. He was on a new offense. He had a bad quarterback for the first half of the year, if you want to look at the Cleveland numbers. But there's more than enough, I think, that shows he's a declining player. At the least, he's a declining player. Maybe you don't think he's totally inept anymore. He did make plays for the Bills last year, despite being pretty incapable of getting open. That was maybe the most impressive thing for me, was he was coming to Buffalo with the idea that this guy's going to be your best route runner when he steps on the field, and he's going to be able to get open like nobody else they have can on the outside. He showed up and could not do it, but he still made some plays. Right? Like the touchdown he catches against the Jets where he's flying over the corner and somehow lands in bounds and gets he made some plays.
Mm-hmm.
But not enough that is warranting, him being what he used to be.
803-0550. Interesting little experiment to just take a part of if you want. What happens if the Bills didn't have Cooper last year? They traded a third. They also got a sixth back. So they didn't lose a pick. It was a pick slide, which I think pick slides make a lot of sense in these deals.
Yeah. You got me thinking about him coming back if they don't get a receiver in the draft, too. If it doesn't fall right for him.
Yeah.
What else? If they circle back around to somebody, add one more body. Beane talked after the season like he thought, he actually referenced a lot of these excuses that I just laid out for him.
Right.